Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of Watch Your Heroes Fall. This will be Part 28, Chapter 32, entitled Phase 4, Song 3, Raise Hell by Brandy Carlisle. Katsuki's got his hero uniform on, even if it's just for remedial courses to get his damn provisional license. He's got it on as he gets off the train to walk to the HUC. He could have not worn his uniform, but that would have meant bringing a bag and lugging his huge-ass gauntlets all over town, so who gives a shit? Wear the costume on the train. The sweat from his palms, from the way people are staring at him, will be good for whatever kind of training the HUC wants to throw at him for a remedial course. Of course, nobody's actually staring at him. He knows that, logically, because he's not a fucking idiot. They're all looking at their phones or whatever. Or wait, no. They're all looking at their phones. Intently, Katsuki feels a chill up his spine. He knows what that usually means. As the train pulls into his stop, he pulls out his phone and imagines what he'd say to Izuku if he got the chance. He'd call him Izuku, for starters. He'd have to, if the rest of the conversation was gonna make any kind of fucking sense. Stupid childhood nicknames be damned, and stupid childhood be damned, and stupid children be damned too. Katsuki would call him Izuku. If he could manage to shove down his overstuffed pride, Katsuki would say he was sorry, in that many words, but if he couldn't manage that, he'd at least say, Izuku deserves a life without people like Katsuki in it, telling him he'd be better off dead. He'd tell him that if Izuku would just come home, back to their classmates, and back to their teachers, and back to their dorms, and back to his fucking mom, for fuck's sake, Katsuki would never talk to him again, if that's what it took. Bakugo Katsuki would bow his head, and beg, if that's what it took. He's thought about it a lot. He'd take anything on his head if it meant that Izuku and Todoroki and Momo and even that 1B guy with the purple hair came back. Katsuki knows that his share of blame is large. He knows that he was a dumb kid, and he knows that doesn't make what he did any better. He doesn't know the penance price, but he will pay it. He figures Instagram news is faster than any official sources, so he scrolls through the Discover page until he finds a live stream. Villain defector Midoriya Izuku spotted. The kid on the stream sounds too young to be chasing a villain through town. A middle schooler, maybe, but most of the internet is convinced that Midoriya Izuku is a misunderstood hero, righting societal wrongs, instead of a hurt kid lashing out in anger. Katsuki rolls his eyes as the kid fights for hiding spots with other live streamers, and then realizes he recognizes that street. It's up ahead, literally 300 meters away. There's no way that's coincidence. Even when he hated him, Katsuki never called Izuku stupid. He shoves his phone in the zipper pocket of his pants and sprints. He's not even out of breath yet when he sees Izuku, wearing that stupid fucking suit and grinning. Katsuki opens his mouth to say his name. To do what he should have started years ago, and treat Midoriya Izuku like a human being. Quirk or no fucking quirk. But Izuku sticks his hands out in front of him. Hi, Kachan, Izuku says, like he's not mad at all. Like maybe he is just a misunderstood hero righting societal wrongs, and Katsuki's got nothing to do with it. Katsuki knows he's not that lucky this time. Izuku says, I'm turning myself in. The world blanches of sound around Katsuki. He's not a fucking idiot, and neither is Izuku. Izuku could have chosen any time, any place to turn himself in, but he drops himself off right between Katsuki's train stop and the HUC. He wanted Katsuki to be the one to catch him. Why? Katsuki should be the last person Izuku wants to be at the mercy of. The words are still reverberating in Katsuki's ears. How could Izuku not be haunted by them? Take a swan dive off a roof. Take a swan dive off a roof. Take a swan dive off a roof. Take a swan dive. Izuku frowns. It's a micro-expression, and it's a fraction of a second, but Katsuki catches it. He spent the 3 months after graduating Altera Middle School trying to forget the history with Midoriya Izuku in the last 2.5 months, trying to reconcile that history. But he hasn't forgotten that Izuku frowns like that when he's thinking, when he's planning. Katsuki is a self-absorbed idiot. But now, if nothing else, now he knows the penance price. And he will gladly pay it. Katsuki watches Izuku's face for signs to read. He has been following the news, but clearly not closely enough. He missed the pattern because he just looked at the stage, and not at the comments section. His brain is working overtime. The UA infiltration, the villains got nothing, but the press beat down on UA more than ever. The fight with Mirko, the villains lost, but Mirko and the Hero Commission got a lawsuit. The convenient fucking timing of all those articles. Bakugo Katsuki has been blind. Izuku has a plan. Whatever that plan is, Katsuki will follow it. Izuku swallows, flops his outstretched wrists agitatedly, and smiles wider. Come on, Kachan. You're a big tough hero, aren't you? Katsuki can see what Izuku's plan is now, and his throat feels dry. This feels like a hyper-specific, torturous kind of cruelty. To have climbed out of the pit of how awful he was, only for Izuku to expect to see him at the bottom. To have to see the murky filth of it, only to jump back down. But he owes Izuku this much, even if it's not for Izuku. It's for Momo and Todoroki and Shinsou, whatever his name was. It's for Kirishima, who Katsuki catches staring out the window sometimes during class, fingers hardening into rock around his pencil. Who has to check that everyone is safe before bed, who smiles when Katsuki lets him lean on him. Katsuki lets sparks crackle along his palms, at the edge of his gauntlets. If Izuku needs him to rise to the bait, play the bad guy, blow up and make a scene, Katsuki will do it. He can't bring the murderous smile, but he can throw up his gauntlets and lower himself into a fighting stance and scream die. Izuku fakes a yelp, even though he never made a noise when Katsuki blew up his notebook, his backpack, his shoulder. Katsuki chases him down the street, and Izuku runs. Katsuki can pretend they're four, playing heroes and villains. The careful distance, the watchful audience, the dance of it. He has to make it look like he'd really hurt Izuku, he knows that. But he can't bring himself to get in striking distance because he doesn't know if he'd stop hitting him if he started. He's not suddenly a good person. He's not stupid. A light tap. Izuku won't call it off without some kind of damage. Katsuki remembers the footage of the Mirko fight. He's got to hit him. If he gets enough smoke in the explosion, the phone cameras won't be able to tell the difference. He hopes Izuku will be able to tell the difference. Like this, he won't get a chance to even say his name, much less apologize. He'll have to do it with smoke. He closes in, presses in a panel of his left gauntlet grenade and pulls the pin, the equivalent of a smoke bomb, with a minor explosion in short range. But when Katsuki closes in under the smoke cover to make the hit look real, Izuku's already on the ground. What? Why? The explosion would barely have grazed him. In any protective covering like that suit, it would have felt like a shove at most. Why isn't Izuku getting up? Katsuki hits his knees next to Izuku, and when the smoke starts to clear, he puts a gauntleted hand around Izuku's throat. Not touching, just a phantom of violence. Izuku's eyes start to open, slow and gummy. Izuku! Katsuki screeches, and Izuku's eyes fly wide. Katsuki hisses below what a phone camera could pick up. Don't shit your pants, nerd. Fuck. Why'd you fold like that? Kachan? Izuku murmurs. What are you? Are they hurting you? Huh? The League. Are they hurting you and the others? No, why would... Then why did you fall over like that? Kachan, what are you doing? Izuku asks. He's got those wide eyes, and Katsuki knows this time 2 months ago. He would have seen contempt in them, perceived superiority, resentment. But now all Katsuki sees is honest confusion. Something hits Katsuki's back. Not hard enough to hurt, but someone threw something at him through the clearing smoke. It's a kid. Looks like an elementary schooler. Who's letting their elementary schooler film hero fights? She's got a cell phone recording in one hand and a rock in the other. She's half hiding, behind a light post. Katsuki's out of time. Call him. Kurogiri's waiting for a signal to warp you out, right? Do it, Katsuki snaps quietly. Izuku laughs, loud and bright, and as it goes on, clearly a little hysteric. He laughs and laughs and laughs, and it's only a few seconds in that Katsuki realizes he's also sobbing. Tears are streaming down his face, and stage fights and villain plays be damned with everything else. Katsuki flinches back like those tears burned his hand. Kurogiri, Izuku says through the tears. Izuku jumps up, jumps back and screams. I tried to surrender myself, and you tried to kill me. He's still laughing. He's still crying. A black portal opens behind Izuku, and he falls into it, eyes red-rimmed and glaring at Katsuki as the pitch swallows him whole. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 32 of Watch Your Heroes Fall. Chapter 33 will be up next. Eager to hear your thoughts and reactions to this one. And as always, thank you so much for listening.